Fox 2 Sportsworks starts now.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Works. Coming up tonight, everything you need to get up to date in the world of sports. Tony in the house.
What
Rock
up?
Me G. Birch in the house.
How
Good
we
to
doing?
see you. Here we go. Got a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Let's talk. Lions, one preseason game in the books. Another one coming up this week, which is going to be here on Fox 2. We love that.
Yep.
Plus, we'll talk about college sports. What's going on there?
What is college sports?
I have no idea. Does anybody know the rules? Those are things we're going to kick around in just a bit. However, we're going to start with the Tigers. Really good weekend series with the Phillies behind them.
Baseball.
Two division leaders squaring off in Philadelphia. Rubber match, game 3 tonight. Charlie Morton made his first start for Detroit since coming over from Baltimore. Second inning, Phillies had a run in looking for more. Bryson Stott into the gap, but check out Riley Green. How about that catch? Good thing Matt Veerling didn't hit that knee right into his head, but he was okay. Morton was on cruise control from there. Fourth inning, struck out the side. He K'd 5 Phillies in a row at one point. Sixth inning, Philadelphia trying to add to their lead runners on the corners for Nick Castellanos. Lifts one down the right field line. Wenzel Perez got over there, makes the leaping catch against the wall, ends the threat. Something really good defense in this game from both teams. Tigers offense looking at something going in the 7th. 2 on Andy Ibanez sends a grounder to short. Jahmai Jones took off for home, out by a mile. Detroit had the bases loaded later in the inning, couldn't cash in. Perez hard shot to short. Trey Turner doing what he does, flipped it for the force. Tigers kept off the board. Philadelphia added some insurance in the 8th. Kyle Schwarber just muscling it to center field and gone. 38th of the year for him. Made it 2-0 Phillies. Then in the 9th, new closer Yohan Duran right here blew the Tigers away. Straight up gas, man. That's 103 to end it. Tigers dropped 2 out of 3 to the Phillies. 2-0 the final score. All right, official introductions. You saw the boys. Stoney in the house. Birchie in the house. Great to have you guys here.
What's up? Hey, hey.
Let's start here. That was a great series between two really good teams. That was fun baseball, Birchie.
It was great baseball.
Yes.
And over the span of 3 games, you saw arguments both for and against what Scott Harris did and did not do at last week's trade deadline. On Friday, this bullpen, which did not get much help aside from Finnegan, blows 2 leads. On Saturday, the offense finds enough and Finnegan closes it out.
Yes.
And tonight, against an elite lefty, you think, man, one more right-handed bat in that lineup might look pretty good. But aside from no storylines, really great baseball between 2 teams who just might be on a collision course this fall.
And Philadelphia, by the way, came out of the trade deadline feeling really good after this weekend.
Yeah,
they're celebrating today on the air with their closer.
Yeah, Durant, he was incredible all weekend. And look, you saw elite pitching on both sides, and their pitching just was a little better cumulatively because of the bullpen.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're going against, I look at going into this series, if they could just don't get swept, because I know they're facing, you know, Suarez.
Yeah, Suarez is nasty.
Wheeler and Sanchez.
Yeah,
I mean, 3 great, and Skubal, you know, pitched really well.
Yeah.
You know, he gave up 3 runs, but so did Wheeler.
Yeah.
And if you look at what the Tigers did do, okay, early returns, 1 start each. Paddock and Morton, both rock solid. And if you look at, okay, what are they going to get? 10 starts the rest of the way, something in that area. Okay, that's 1 down. Both of them pretty good for this team.
I was really impressed by Morton tonight. And
Mid-90s at 41 years old.
I was dubious of the acquirement, Dan, or the acquisition, as some of us might also say. But, you know,
invented that word at 10 o'clock.
Take the 4th inning alone tonight. We saw it in the highlights. He goes 95 up to strike out Real Muto, goes curveball down to strike out Castellanos, 95 up to strike out Marsh, part of 5 strikeouts in a row. And he looked more like maybe 30-year-old or 32-year-old Charlie Morton. And while the numbers this year on the whole obviously aren't impressive, since he was briefly removed from Baltimore's rotation and then put back in late May, he's got an ERA of about 3.6 in 12 starts. And so the Tigers do believe that's the version they're getting, and we saw it tonight.
And the other thing that they clearly believe, and Scott Harris believes, is that if he puts these pitchers with more options into the hands of A.J. Finch and Chris Fetter, that he's going to get some results out of it. Now, you could certainly make the case that if you go out and go to Yohan Duran, that you're going to be in better shape. If you get a Suarez, you're going to be in better shape. If you get Mason Miller, you're going to be in better shape. But I think they also have confidence in what they can do. That argument, you can go back and forth all night about what you should have done and what they've done to this point and whether or not they've got the equity to say, hey, guys, this is what we believe in.
I wonder.
They've earned a lot of it.
And I wonder, and Scott Harris will never tell us, I don't think, if they were serious in trying to get Duran. You know, with Minnesota, look, they traded Padgett in the division to us. Would they have done the same thing?
Sure.
What would they have given up? But Philly gave up a lot. But their two prospects.
So did the Padres to get Miller.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing about Duran, though, he's under control for, what, 3 more years, I believe? So that one I would have maybe done. Other than that, I have not that big of a problem.
The cost of acquisition on Duran would have been worth it for his entrance alone.
Yes.
Which is incredible. Oh, my God.
Pretty awesome.
If I'm a hitter on deck watching him come in, I'm going right back to the dugout. I've seen enough, and he can face the next guy. I agree, though, Stoney, and I would push back on Harris just a little bit when he talks about this concept, this idea that the players they would have had to sacrifice would have been better than the players they're acquiring. It's hard to find a better reliever in the game right now and moving forward than Duran. Again, maybe the Twins were reluctant to move him in division, but that's one guy I would have pushed my chips in for.
Isn't that the age-old argument in baseball when you get to July and August, is how significant you are in going after something when you have the opportunity to do it? There's a case to be made that you don't get that many opportunities to go all in. And when you get a chance, look, they're going to win this division. They're going to be in the playoffs, and then they're going to be competing against some teams that really did go all in at this trade deadline.
Right, and I agree with him as far as going after rentals. I mean, if we're going to talk about what's happened so far, I mean, I wanted Bednar, who they would have had control. I wanted Bird, and the Yankees in their first game
and
with
Doval.
They gave up 9 runs in 3 innings. Bird pitched 1 good inning today. Suarez over the weekend, 2 for 17. With no RBIs, nothing. So it's so early to sit and judge. I would have liked to see him get one other, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that we, you talked about a right-handed bat. I mean, they obviously felt like we're going to let this offense ride, and we're going to see where it takes us.
And they're going to have to face one of the Yankees or Red Sox or Astros almost certainly in the playoffs. And the Yankees have Rodon and Fried, who are 2 nasty lefties. The Astros have Valdez.
The Yankees just don't want to face the Marlins.
The Red Sox have Crochet. And so you're going to have to find some big-time at-bats against big-time left-handed pitching in the playoffs to make a run. But the bullpen is clearly a weakness for this team. And they're betting on Kyle Finnegan and a version of pitching chaos, it sounds like. And that, to me, sounds like trying to roll boxcars 2 years in a row. We'll see if it works, but I agree they have earned some equity given how last season ended.
You know who else I think they're counting on a little bit? Alex Lang. To come back.
A lot of names to monitor.
We will see. Interesting decisions, and certainly things will go back and forth on as the season goes on. Let's switch the conversation.
I just want to mention Riley.
Done, Stoney?
Yeah,
just want to check.
I just want to mention one thing about Riley Green.
0 for 13.
0 for 13.
Do you have any other notes?
Make sure you get them all. That's it. I didn't give the magic
phone in his water.
Riley Green striking out on 103 to end that game.
But he made some great defensive plays.
Yeah, he did. All right, let's get to the. You're good. Let's get to the Lions roster.
Wait, hold on, Dan. He's got one more thing.
No, I'm good.
Before the start of the regular season, coaches now have some game film to work with after the preseason opener. In some cases, that's a good thing. In others, there is work to be done. Woody has more from the team's workout today.
The question came up to Lions head coach Dan Campbell after Thursday night's game against the Chargers. What did you see from the offense? Campbell's answer revolved around what he didn't see.
Like to see more first downs on offense. If anything, you'd like to have felt like you got down in the red zone a little bit more offensively and got some of those reps. I mean, the good news, defensively, I felt like we got a little bit of everything, probably minus a good 2-minute drive. But everything else we pretty much saw defensively. Offensively, you'd like to see, just to get down there in that red zone a little bit more.
Now, even though it's preseason, those turnovers hurt bad. However, both Hendon Hooker and Kyle Allen are aware that they have to keep an even demeanor and not try to overcompensate for last Thursday's errors this week against Atlanta.
You look at the totality of it, it was a rough game for us, but I think when you look at it, it was a lot of big splash play turnovers that hurt us, and then there was a lot of good football sprinkled in between. I think you can pick out some good things that we did on offense too. So you don't overreact to it, and you just learn from it and move on.
How would you rate your performance from last week?
A 0 out of 10. It wasn't to my standards or to the team standards of just being productive and controlling the huddle and making plays. Just play the next play. Short-term memory. and just continue to motivate my teammates. That's what I'm here to do. Push my troops down the field and put the ball in the end zone.
I see Hooker starting this first half versus Atlanta, and then Kyle will take the back half. I can tell you both of those guys are, you know, it goes without saying they're frustrated with the way that went, and they both want to improve and get better, and they will.
In Allen Park at the Meyer Performance Center, Woody Woodruff, Fox 2 Sports.
All right, Woody, thank you very much. Look, it's always tough to know what to take out of preseason games, but here's one thing I will take. Whether it was the 3 interceptions or the 2 turnovers on special teams, regardless of who Dan Campbell puts out there, Dan Campbell is going to tell you to value the football. They did not do that. That will be one of the coaching points that comes out of that game.
Absolutely. Can't have that many turnovers, and they didn't get any turnovers either, I don't believe. Look, everybody's focusing on the backup quarterback, and I understand why. But if God forbid Jared Goff gets hurt, does it really make a difference if Hooker or Allen's going to be the quarterback?
There's very few backup quarterbacks in this league that would be able to take even the better teams and stay on course for what you believe you were capable of with your starter.
Correct.
Yeah, I think the dilemma would be if Jared has to miss a half of a game or has to miss 2 or 3 games. You'd like to think that the guy behind him can at least keep the offense afloat. And right now it seems like they'd be better off calling Teddy Bridgewater again down in Miami and bringing him in. They were encouraged by some things that Hooker showed. He'll get most of, if not all of, the first half reps in the next preseason game. And look, not to speak for Dan Campbell or tell him how to do his job, but if I were him, I would play Hooker all 4 quarters against the Falcons and see what he looks like with the second-team offense and with 4 quarters worth of reps. Because I think you know what Kyle Allen is.
He's got a
better
resume.
Or worse. But Hendon Hooker still has some upside worth pursuing and some questions that need to be answered. And I don't think you can do that in one half of football with mostly third-string teammates.
And I will tell you, based on his reaction after that game, there will be nobody more anxious to get in this game and play than Hendon Hooker on Friday night. I mean, talking to him after that game, he said, look, I want to practice tomorrow. I mean, he checks all the boxes for leadership, for charisma. I mean, he controls the room when you talk to him, but he's got to go out there and do it on the field. I mean, he's got to show that he can be a trusted number 2, which, look, like it or not, that was a statement last year when they signed Teddy Bridgewater late in the season.
Look, he's almost playing for his career in these preseason games. If you think about it, look, I don't think they're going to cut him for Kyle Allen. He'll just be the third-string quarterback. But, man, he's got to come through.
You talk about controlling the room. I agree. He does do that. He has a presence about him. But he needs to know how to control the offense. And he played in a pretty rudimentary, simple offense at Tennessee where he wasn't asked to do a whole lot at the line. This offense is complex. You have to make the right reads, the right checks. I think that's where they do feel like he's growing, but that has to show up in then making the right throws. And if I'm him on Friday, I'm throwing the ball to Isaac Tesla, who, by the way, is now known as Coleslaw. I want to give this credit to our friend, the One Pride guy on Twitter, who says Isaac Tesla will henceforth be known as Coleslaw because he's white and dangerous to leave out in the open. I brought that to Isaac Tesla today. He said, I've seen the tweet. I approve it. I will take the name Coleslaw. Moving forward, that's your 3rd-round pick. But he made some plays on Thursday night, man, and he lowered his shoulder once, too, man. He went right through that guy's chest.
He's a lion. And I guarantee you, if there was a camera on Brad Holmes, he would have been smiling because, look, he said, that's my favorite receiver in the draft, and he heard some of the criticism. But love what I saw from him. And Dominic Lovett and what he did, look, had a drop early, bounced back. It wasn't.
And he blocked.
It wasn't 100%. But you know what? You can see what they saw in him. And as a 7th-round draft pick, he showed he's got some opportunity with his team.
Absolutely. He's fast, and he's not afraid of anything, too. He had a drop. It happens.
And their 6th-round pick, Ahmed Hassanin, stood out on defense.
Yes, he did.
And, look, that's a player with a lot to offer in a very raw package. But through camp and one preseason game, you see exactly why the Lions loved him at Boise State. The motor, the athleticism, and the relentlessness. He feels like an annoying guy to have to block down in and down out. If they can find something from him this season, that's a major boost.
And he makes it clear he enjoys running through people's faces.
Which is always a good facet to have to your game.
Yeah, it is, no doubt about it. All these guys will be going again on Friday night in Atlanta. We will have that game right here on Fox 2. We certainly look forward to that. All right, stick around. When we come back, college sports, NIL, the college sports Sports Commission. Collectives. Anybody have any idea what's actually going on? What's the impact on the games we love? We'll talk about that coming up next. All right, so the ever-changing landscape of college sports, the College Sports Commission is formed. A couple weeks later, this is early July, they say no more collectives, which is the groups that were getting together, banding together, getting money, and giving it out to players in the form of NIL. Yeah. Then they come out this week and say, okay, you can have collectives, but the NIL money that they has to give has to be in return for a service.
Correct.
For some sort of company that's trying to sell goods or something like that. Right. And then you have the $20.5 million limit that schools are allowed to pay players, but they don't want the collectives to just simply add to that endlessly. Correct. So they're trying to police it. Nobody has any idea what's going on.
No, it all sounds great.
And you want us to talk about it?
Yeah. It all sounds.
Here's the problem that I see. We're losing what makes us passionate about these games. The only thing left is the name. Yeah. University of Michigan, Boston College, American University, whatever it is. The only thing that's left is the name. Because the players every year are changing. Yeah. And we're simply, in particular in basketball, we're just watching this revolving door. Used to be, kid came in as a freshman. Right. Wow, we're getting to know him. Right. A little more playing time as a sophomore. Here he comes as a junior. Yeah. Now as a freshman, if he doesn't get time, he leaves as a sophomore.
Yeah.
But
it's a shame.
What are the rules?
It's a shame because it feels like, especially in basketball and football, the talent pool in college sports is richer and deeper than ever, because in a lot of cases these NIL deals are enticing kids to stay an extra year or two when previously they may have gone pro. And despite that talent pool, our emotional investment is waning. Like, look at last year's Final Four. This stunned me today when I read it. Of the 20 starting players in this year's Final Four, 11 were transfers and 3 were freshmen. So all but 6 were recognizable year over year to their fan bases. And there are thousands of kids in the portal every single year. And most coaches now are prioritizing the portal over high school recruits, which was once the lifeblood of college sports and was the reason that fans like us could invest in not just the name or the mascot or the program, but the rosters and the players year after year.
The recruiting was a big part of being a fan.
Yeah, I'm a geek. I still go on the websites, and now it's like, wait a second, why am I bothering? These guys won't even be there in a year anyway, and it changes. However, I will say this, that once Saturdays start for football, once our tailgates begin, once cliche toe hits leather, I don't think anybody's going to care.
No, I don't know if I agree with that. I do think it is hurting in some respects that fans cannot invest the way that they used to invest. There's just something about it, in particular maybe, Stoney, more in basketball than in football, because we see this massive turnover year over year where teams, I mean, look at Michigan the past couple of years. They have to basically, and credit to the coaching staff for being able to do it. They've done a great job.
They're the top 5 preseason rankings.
No doubt. But it becomes more difficult to do that all the time.
Yeah, well, I think one of the most gratifying parts of being a fan is watching a core of players grow together and grow into themselves and take their losses along the way and eventually summit that mountain that they've been trying to for years. And that storyline for most teams and fan bases doesn't even exist anymore, because the point guard might be playing for your rival school next season and then playing for a third school the season after that. The quarterback from Miami is going to be at Texas, and then he's going to be at Alabama, and then he might just be at Georgia. And
or if you're getting paid enough, you're willing to sit on the bench in Texas and wait your turn.
Well, how about locally, like Trey Holloman, after, you know, all the stuff with the Spartans and the Michigan and all that stuff, and he was like basically crying after they got eliminated. Then it goes, it's like, really?
But I don't begrudge them making money. I'm all for them making money, but it just feels like right now it is the Wild West. I don't even think the coaches know how this thing works.
Yeah, it's good for program sales. John Calipari told the story when he was contacted by the mother of a recruit who was given an NIL pledge. What happens next? He said, I don't know. I'll let you know when I know.
Check out these guys on 97.1 The Ticket. Check us out when we come back. All right, NASCAR from Iowa this weekend. Rochester Hills native Brad Keselowski running in second for 67 straight laps. Gets around Will Bryson with 3 laps left in stage 1. Helped him pick up the stage victory. Stayed up near the top most of stage 2. Picked up another one there. Keselowski held the lead for 68 laps on the day, but he wasn't there for the final lap. Will Byron got the lead off a restart with 74 laps to go. Got around Chase Elliott, never looked back. Byron took the checkered flag. Second victory of the year. Chase Briscoe was second. Keselowski ran third. Will Byron sits atop the NASCAR Cup Series point standings with 3 races left in the regular season. Final tournament before the playoffs start next week in golf, the Wyndham Championship. Shot of the day, Carl Phillips on the par 3 third. Can't do it any better than this one. One bounce. Look, you know where it's going. Rolls in. That's an ace. Phillips ended up in a tie for 19th. Meanwhile, this tournament was a rout. Cameron Young dominated all week, started the day with a 5-stroke lead, birdied 5 holes in a row at one point. Lead was up to 8, cruised from there, winning by 6. First career PGA Tour victory. Takes home a first-place check for $1.4 million. Over in Wales Women's Open, Mimi Rose on the tee at the par 3 fifth from 184 yards out. You got to watch this ball. It's going to land. It's going to roll. Looks like it's on line with a flag. Takes a bit of a left-hand turn, but that's okay because his partner's ball is there. Drops in for a hole-in-one. Take another look. This thing was going to miss just to the left, but got the ricochet it needed. It went in. She ended up in a tie for 19th. Miyu Yoshimito was the winner. All right, great story this week out of Grand Blanc. The girls' softball team steamrolled their way through the Senior League World Series. In the finals today, facing a team from Georgetown, Delaware, Michigan on the attack, bases loaded. Addie Freeman single back up the middle, got 2 runs home, 2-0. It was 3-0 when she came up again in the second inning. This time 2 on. They're going to need a new softball. That's out. 3-run homer, 6-0 Michigan after that. They went on to no-hit Georgetown to win the softball Senior League World Series for the first time. 10-0 the final, 5 innings in a mercy rule victory. I'm Dan Miller. Thank you for watching. Be sure to join us on Fox 2 News Morning at 4 a.m.